everybody. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Tap the bell for notifications. Give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris.
It's your boy Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
Morning, everybody. It's your girl Jackie Ray. You can find me everywhere at JRay the Fanatic.
Hey y'all, happy Thursday. It's your girl Britt. You can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson.
Okay, you guys, so yesterday was obviously a disappointing and devastating day. The grand jury in Louisville, Kentucky elected to not charge any of the police officers with the killing of Breonna Taylor. Only one officer was charged with anything, which is just pretty upsetting and devastating. It sent shockwaves through the country and on social media. As we all saw, so many people were hoping and praying for justice for Bree, and unfortunately that didn't happen. A lot of athletes took to social media to react online. Lebron James had several tweets that he posted here, some that I'd like to share. He said, "I've been lost for words today. I'm devastated, hurt, sad, mad. We want justice for Breonna, yet justice was met for her neighbors' apartment walls and not her beautiful life. Was I surprised at the verdict? Absolutely not, but damn it, I was and still am hurt and heavy-hearted. I send my love to Breonna's mother, family, and friends. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And then he also added, "The most disrespected person on earth is the Black woman. I promise you I'll do my best to change this as much as I can and even more. Love you to queens all over this country and beyond." So you can tell there was so much emotion coming from LeBron. He was obviously just brokenhearted about this entire thing, and he just posted tweet after tweet after tweet with the same sentiment. You know, we were wanting justice for Bree. He's so sorry to her family. And I know when I was reading them, it really struck a chord with me. I also saw Colin Kaepernick tweeted, "The white supremacist institution of policing that stole Breonna Taylor's life from us must be abolished for the safety and well-being of our people." Bradley Beal asked, "Justice." DeMarcus Cousins said, "Slap on the wrist for murder, but 10 years for tearing down a punk-ass statue." Lots and lots of reactions online. And I don't have any specific questions, but Jackie, I wanted to hand it over to you to hear your thoughts on everything that happened yesterday and how these athletes responded.
I was just incredibly sad. I don't know if you guys saw Malika when she was doing her, sideline interview, and she had a really hard time, getting through it. And I had a hard time getting through it. I feel really bad for these athletes. I'll talk more about it in what we're not going to do. But at the same time, it's one of those things where I've been saying this for years. You know what I mean? There's absolutely nothing's going to change in this country. When you really look at the how this country was founded, it's not going to change unless we completely blow up the system. And I don't know if anyone's ready for what that really means. So there is a point, and I've said this for years, like, okay, are we going to just buy new running shoes every year because we're just going to be marching, crying, and praying? Because that's it. That's literally all we have. And, to me, it's unfortunate now that the whole push is like vote, vote, vote. But what does that mean, especially when you're just talking about the presidential election, when you have, and Kamala Harris, this is a woman who has said emphatically that she will never sign a bill that just benefits the Black community while simultaneously enforcing laws that have been very detrimental to the Black community. That's not a win for us. That's not a win for us in having somebody who co-signed on a bill that had mass incarcerations in the Black community. That's not a win for us. There's absolutely no win for us unless we're really ready to put our feet to the fire. So I think it's a very hopeless situation. But like I saw countless athletes say last night, not surprised. This is how our country was founded, and this is how I fully expect it to continue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Britt, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
I mean, obviously, I still try to remain optimistic and hopeful, because if not, what are we doing? Just all be off the face of this earth if we can't assume or believe that we can at some point make a difference and do something. So, I mean, I'm going to continue to fight. In my Brit's take, I'll talk about what my suggestions are, and then maybe get some of your guys' suggestions on what we think these athletes should and could do moving forward. I know I'm going to continue to, live in it space of, I always believe there's only two emotions in this world. It's love and fear. Pick which one you want to lead with. So I'm going to continue to lead with love. And I'm going to talk about some ways that we can use our platforms, athletes' platforms, in order to continue to say stuff. Because even though, I guess I'll talk about Britt's take as far as platforms and stuff is concerned. But yeah, I mean, yesterday I wasn't surprised by what happened, and I think it's kind of crazy that you can say, yes, we are guilty of killing you because we're giving you $12 million, which is what they gave her family a couple weeks ago, and then turn around and say, but we're not going to get anybody in trouble for it as far as going to jail. We'll give you the money for it, and we're admitting it in this instance because we're giving you money for it, but then we're not going to arrest anybody for it. So I think that, the double situation of that is just kind of crazy in and of itself, that you could admit to being guilty enough to now pay her family out for that money, but you're not guilty enough to go to jail for it or even be arrested for it. So it's very sad. It's very unfortunate. It sucks that people fought for 194 days to have this be the outcome, but I don't think that you just now throw in the towel. I think everyone should continue fighting. Voting's important, so I will be voting. And I hope everybody else does too.
Mm-hmm. I like what you said there about leading with love, Britt. That's how I try to approach my life and my perspective on the world as well. And I know that can be tested, and it's been tested, especially in recent months. But I think it's important to remain optimistic as well. Chris, I'd like to hear from you finally before we move on. I feel like I'm on a major delay too.
It should be better now.
No, you're fine. Okay.
Leo, you're going to have to tell everyone when it's back.
We are back.
Okay, Chris, you can probably continue now. We're back.
Okay, everything's good. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't even know where I left off and where I started and whatnot, because it's just, yeah, like I said, just so I don't have to repeat myself and I want to open the show, very frustrated, very sad, in between being pessimistic, but I continue to keep myself optimistic because I don't know how I would be if I continue to believe that not one day something is going to change, because then what's the point of then continuing to go further with anything? You know what I mean? And I'm a very positive guy. And I know that, history is not on our side when it comes to situations like this. But it's just sad, man. Just yesterday was just hella sad. I didn't even watch the game until about the second half because I just couldn't understand. I was reading and looking and trying to. I just couldn't understand how it got the result was what the result was, and it's crazy to me. But I'm gonna leave it at that.
I want to add too, all of us definitely have a little bit of difference in opinions, and I think everybody's opinion is super validated. We are all feeling what we're feeling, and all of it is validated at this point. I know some people want to get really mad, and people want to talk about protesting and rioting is bad. No, everything that's happening right now is validated, and everything is brought to this point because of a reason. Whether it's personal life and our personal experiences, or whether it's stuff that just has happened in history, everything right now that's happening is all valid to feel, to express, and all of that kind of stuff. So I want to be clear, where I might have a difference of opinion from either Chris or Devin or Jackie, I think all of our points and all of our feelings are valid right now.
Yeah, for sure. There are a variety of ways to react to what's going on, and this is such a challenging and devastating time. People are going to look at it differently and have different ideas of how to move forward. Ultimately, yeah, everybody's valid in their opinions. You're totally right on that, Britt. Let's get into the next news story. Switching gears a little bit, Zion Williamson apparently not one of the top 5 players that NBA executives would build a team around. Luka Doncic is, of course, was the top guy in the poll. They polled 15 NBA talent evaluators, and Zion came in at number 7. So Zion obviously is a phenomenal player. We've seen him have these incredible games, but he's a little bit risky because he's injury prone. So I guess I'm personally not super surprised by this. So Chris, I want to ask you first, do you think that these talent evaluators were off in ranking Zion so low?
I wouldn't say off. I would say dramatic. That's the word I would use. The kid is going through his first year. Yes, I mean, with history, sure, there might be the possibility that he'll probably be injury prone his entire career, and he might be a ceiling Blake Griffin. Fine. But in that same breath, we just were barely finishing his first season in the pros, and we do not know what he could completely just 180 and be healthy the rest of his career. Might not be that way. But for them to just completely just flip the script like that was just kind of, to me, I feel like it was really dramatic for them to do that. Like you, I get it. I understand, the fears and whatnot. But at the same time, Zion Williamson is still a talent in the league. And I think it's way too soon to make that assumption that he should be 7th on the list of younger players to be building the team around. That's crazy.
Yeah. Britt, do you see why Zion came in at number 7, or do you think he should be higher up or maybe even lower?
I see why he came at 7 because he doesn't really have a resume. Chris did say he just finished his first season, but his first season was very short. We saw 26 games in the regular before we went bubble, and a lot when he was in the bubble. So we're looking at a very short resume for him compared to some other guys that we saw them develop and what fits with what the whole entire year. And then in the second part of it, the injury part of he got injured towards the ending when he was with Duke, and then got injured that continued basically to linger on throughout this season until he came back. And so it's hard to say to build a team around him because if you're looking at the injuries, the weight issues, the not a substantial resume as far as just like a first year is concerned, there are a lot of question marks there because then it's well, what do we feel around him? What works well with him? What would be good if something happened to him? How do we still have another group of 4 guys that can play without him if he's injured or if he's having a rest game or whatever, this, that, and the third. So I think it's harder to put him in a situation where you can't even build a team around him because you don't know what works right now. Even when he was in college, Duke wasn't even they were good with Zion, but I didn't have them winning the March Madness, and I'm sure a lot of other people didn't either. They were going into it we have 3 superstars, but then did their superstars always play very well together? No, they didn't. So what pieces fit with Zion to make Zion the best player that he can be? And it's hard to see right now because he doesn't have a resume. And then you want to go to high school, he played with people that were 5'4", and it's Zion was this giant guy. So there's just nothing to compare in what we know wouldn't work with Zion yet, basically. And I think that's the same thing the Sixers will try to figure out too. What works with Ben Simmons? What works with Joel Embiid? What pieces? They haven't found their pieces together, which is why they can have all the talent they want but not be successful. And I think that's the issue with Zion is we don't know what piece he needs to be successful.
Yeah, it's true. Jackie, so they ranked Ja Morant higher than Zion. Do you think that makes sense?
I mean, of course, you see all the, what? Is that a real question? Yeah, I'm I don't know. What the hell? I don't even know what else to say to that. Yes, he has all of the qualities that you need. And just like Britt and Chris said, if you're going to build a team around somebody, you need to know what they already have, what you can complement, what their weaknesses are, who you need to bring in to help uplift those weaknesses. If they're strong in one area, you don't want to bring in a guy like that. With Zion, he hasn't even proven that he's willing to commit to his health to stay healthy. So you that's step one, and you haven't shown us that. And so if I can't count on you to be take your weight seriously in your workout regimen, then what am I building on? That's ground zero. So Ja has gone out there and proved not only can you build a team around him, you can fully expect him to lead it. So yeah, he's definitely should be higher on that list than Zion. That's a zero question. Yeah, that's a given.
I asked because for a long time, you and I both were rooting for Zion to take home Rookie of the Year. Of course, we changed.
He's on the train now.
Earlier on than you, so that's why
You
I thought I
definitely
might
did.
be getting a little bit of a reaction there. I thought I might be getting a little bit of a reaction there.
That's definitely, because even when I was on that train, my whole point of that was like, let's not just discount Zion because his time is shorter. You know what I mean? That was my whole thing about that. Like, let's just look at the amount of time that he played. But that's a different question than building. That's like, let's look at this and evaluate this. Building a team is a whole different thing, because now you're talking about the future of your franchise. I can talk about how you played in this moment, but how you played in this moment is different than what I'm going to build around you. So yeah, that's a different question. I see what you did there, Devin, but it's a different question.
My job is to get the reactions out of the panelists, so I gotta ask the things that are gonna get something out of you guys. So, but I agree with you, John. He's obviously proven that he can have a team built around him and he can be successful. So, I'm with you on that. It's not like I feel like it was he shouldn't be ranked higher. But you guys, on that note, we're gonna hand it over to Chris to take us into the post up.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Post Up with your boy Chris, quarantine edition. Hopefully, I'm not going to get blocked out. Spectrum, I know it's you. I know you out there. Just you got a vendetta against me. I don't know why, but I know it's you. Them too. Oh, you're right. I did open that door too. God. Okay. Well, just everyone simmer down and let me get through this damn post up. And before we get into some crazy conversations that are in post up, I do want to start off with something that Jackie had mentioned earlier in the live, and that was Malika Andrews' message that when she was on SVP, I think post game, and she was basically talking about the players and how they were adapting to what's going on and trying to figure out what to do next, and just the emotions and the feelings of the players and whatnot. But in that, while talking about them, I thought she spoke really well on herself, and she really fought to try to get how she was feeling because of how close, in age and just some letters being a black woman, especially her that's on TV and, a public figure, for her to get it out the way that she did, and you could feel the emotion with what she had to say. I really wanted to highlight that before we get into anything else here on Post Up. So here's that video of her speaking on it.
I have prided myself in being able to be objective and cover these sorts of issues. But when it is so clear that the system of objectivity in journalism is so whitewashed and doesn't account for the fact that when I am walking up the hill, my wonderful producer Melinda reminds me that Breonna Taylor was 26 and I am 25, and that could have been me. It is very hard to continue to go to work, and that's what these players were feeling.
Yeah, and I'm stuck there, because she does a great job doing her job, because, she was supposed to be talking about the players, but I love the fact that she was able to, be able to speak on how she felt about it and get that emotion out. And I have no problem with that, and I respect her for that. Jackie, I do want to come to you about it, because you did mention it earlier, seeing that raw emotion, seeing what she had to say and how she felt. And I don't need to tell you how the replies and the comments were on any social media on this clip, so we don't need to talk about that. But seeing that and hearing her and hearing what she had to say and what she had said in that clip, how did you feel about that, being in a similar situation as her?
I mean, it instantly brought me to tears. I had a hard time watching that game yesterday, just in general, because as you're watching it, all these things are coming up on your timeline, and your phone is going off, and it's not sports updates. So because I had a real thought about it as well, as you guys kind of know, like, my whole main focus on my personal platform is uplifting the Black community. And so to see a young lady who had that to take that moment. First of all, I went directly to her and direct messaged her, and I totally applauded her because her professionalism in that moment, even though her heart was clearly breaking, was beautiful, flawlessly done. And I definitely, wanted to lift her up in that moment. But it is one of those things, like, it's a slap in the face. You're trying to be objective and just tell the story, not add the fact that you're a Black woman, and this it easily could have been you. So I mean, if to be honest, like I said yesterday on my personal podcast, it's like, I'm struggling, you know what I mean? And it can't just be me. It can't just be me that kind of sees what we're up against, this blatant overture from these athletes to try to make change, specifically in this case as well, and just to have that overlooked. And then it's like, hey, but still go out there and play basketball, still play this game when we can see that a Black life in this country means nothing. So I definitely applaud her. I applaud the athletes that were out there doing it. And I definitely, I feel like we as Black people, we need to just talk and kind of lean on each other right now, because it's a tough time, and it's a tough time this week. We'll be right back here in a couple weeks. And, and that's the unfortunate side of the situation. So.
Yeah. And it's so sad that is. Anyways, but on this too, you're right, everything you said, I love that, and that's why I wanted to come to you on that. But on top of that too, with what was going on, I did one of the other things that came out to me was Donovan Mitchell's apology. I don't want to say statement. It was an apology, and I loved what Donovan Mitchell had to say. I mean, we know that he has been very vocal on all this. I don't want to say especially with this, because of where it was. And for those who know Donovan Mitchell, being going to school for Louisville for 4 years and being so close to that community and stuff like that, he felt really close to this case and hoping that it went the direction that did not go. And then as soon as that came out, he dropped this apology on IG, and on IG and Twitter, on social media. And I don't want to read the whole entire thing, but I do want to read them because I feel like it was very important. I want to echo the sentiment that he had said, but he had put towards the end, he said, when will being Black stop being a threat? I have cops who are friends and members of my family. I understand that there are good cops in our community, but we have to address that there are also cops who see African Americans as threats, and that's unacceptable. This isn't political. It's simply not being afraid of a child with a toy gun, a child with a hoodie on, a woman for sleeping in her bed, a man for going on a jog. That's it. I just wanted to write this small piece to just say, Breonna, I'm sorry that the justice system has failed you. We haven't and will not forget your name. And like I said, the beginning part was him talking about the closeness with him and Louisville, and the disappointment in the situation that happened, and the fact that it went this long before we even had any kind of conversation or any arrest on these 3 cops that were, I don't know. Yeah, it was just, the whole thing was just rough. And then, like Jackie had mentioned, it's just, you keep seeing more and more and more, and it just gets you more and more frustrated from, like LeBron James tweeting the money that's going into the damn walls in the apartment complex, but we ain't talking. Like, all of it is just, it's just baffling. And for us to unfortunately be going through this cycle where who knows when, and hopefully not, but being realistic, who knows when the next one's going to be and how that's going to take place and who's going to get let off yet again. It's just, I don't know. It's really disappointing, really upsetting. But shout out to Donovan Mitchell for that apology. I'm not going to call that a statement. And I like the word apology because that really takes a good hit to Louisville and what the verdict that we heard yesterday. But I want to flip the script. In the words of Devin, I want to switch gears a little bit, bring it back to some of the lighter notes, especially from yesterday, because there were some. Because it was the basketball game itself. Like Jackie, I didn't tune in until the second half because I just wasn't really focusing on basketball at the time. But I did tune in and I did watch the second half of the game. And it was a good game for what I did see. And you guys know that after just memeing and laughing and joking about Tyler Hero and giving him the nickname East Coast Coos and stuff like that. In that in all that joking and meme, I've become a Tyler Hero fan, and more so to the point where I joked before the show that I'm gonna have to start calling Kuzma West Coast Hero, because Tyler Hero to me is just showing that he's the one that's got more swag of the two, even though they both have the same kind of social media situations. But Dwayne Wade was very vocal about the rookie. I don't want to say star yet, but the rookie for Miami Heat, especially after a strong game that he had yesterday where he scored 37 points, which broke Dwayne Wade's record of the most points scored by a Miami Heat rookie in the playoffs. Dwayne Wade was 27. Tyler Hero broke that with 37 points yesterday. And Dwayne Wade was a fan, and he went in with a bunch of tweets. But one of the tweets that I want to point out was the one where he put up, Tyler Hero definitely got a black best friend, because if you see Tyler Hero on the court, he definitely presents himself with some swag. And I think that, just Dwayne Wade just being Dwayne Wade in that situation, people were thinking that was hilarious. But yeah, man, Tyler Hero is looking different. The Heat just look like they're just well built. They look like a Miami Heat team built by Pat Riley, and that's why I think, even though they're defying all odds, being the 5th seed and about to be in the damn NBA Finals, I mean, barring anything crazy happens, it's pretty crazy. And Tyler Hero being a rookie, not looking like a rookie, it's been very impressive. And Dwayne Wade getting props to the young blood, that's pretty cool, and I'm a fan of that. But there's another player on the Heat that I really want to talk about. I want to hear from you guys, and that's somebody that I found out yesterday was a part of the Miami Heat. Now, I know this player. I know who Solomon Hill was. He played for Memphis. I know him more when he was playing for the New Orleans Pelicans. But I had no idea that he was on the Miami Heat. And by the looks of him, it looks like he hiked from New Orleans to Miami throughout the quarantine and just got there, because this was his first minutes playing any kind of basketball in the playoffs, especially here in the bubble. And he looked very familiar, and as you can read by or hear by these tweets, he looked like a certain character from a movie that a lot of you guys might have watched. Look at the face. This is Solomon Hill, for those who may not remember, but it'd be a retweet. Posted this tweet, said Solomon Hill's out here looking like Tom Hanks from Castaway. But B-Ball Breakdown one up this by saying Solomon Hill hadn't played a second in the playoffs because his FedEx plane crashed near an island in the deep Pacific, where he befriended a volleyball named Wilson. Well, not for long will he have to befriend a volleyball, because actually, right, but actually next year is funny, and it all ties up. Yeah, it all ties up because next year, actually, the NBA is going to switch from Spalding to Wilson. So I want these memes to continue, and hopefully Spoelstra gives him some minutes early so we can see him holding a Wilson basketball, because then they'll be reunited on the basketball court. But yeah, Solomon Hill, I didn't know he was on the Heat. I didn't know he was on the Heat, looking like that, looking like he's been going through the tough of the quarantine, because that is a quarantine look. Not even just the hair, the beard. Solomon Hill, get it together, my guy. We talked about the Bubble Barber Shop, so I don't know why you haven't at least checked it out. Just line yourself up for something like that. All right, guys, we got another one. I feel like we have one every damn day of the week, but I have to always show some love to Raul Neto, because I feel like he is the one that pioneered this trend that we've been having on Post Up, and that is TikTokers out here clout chasing. And we have another one, and this one, she didn't put any name, she didn't bring in any specific names, but the stupidity was definitely brought in at full force, just the same, for sure. She is claiming, I'm going to show you the TikTok right now, but she is claiming that she was flown into the bubble by somebody, and she is staying in a $7,000 room that was comped by one of the players in the bubble. She didn't say who it was, but she then tried to make it seem like she's about to go loose in the bubble, because now she's in and now she's going to cause some havoc and whatever it may be. But here's the stupid TikTok. Go ahead, Leo.
Daddy Gang and everyone listening, we have infiltrated new territory.
Yeah, and then she's just going to show the room. She's going to show the little message, whole new game. She's saying that the fridge is restocked. Yeah, I cannot with this one. This right here, if we're ranking them, this right here took first place over homegirl that faked the IG messages. She's right here is taking first place, because this is absolutely idiotic. And she gets called out, and this whole thing gets debunked to the point where it was all, the TikTok was deleted and everything was taken down, because this was posted up by this Twitter user. His name is Zorro. He put up this video along with the tweet saying, "There's literally no team left in the bubble that is staying in the Grand Floridian, by the way, because as the teams were, becoming less and less, they moved to different hotels, and the Grand Floridian was then vacated by the NBA, and now people are able to use it regularly, like any regular hotel, especially at Disney World. Don't believe me? Well, Zorro continued because he put down the receipts on there with a ticket that you could buy, and like he said, can literally book a room at the resort for tomorrow. It's not being used for NBA purposes anymore, including quarantining guests. So if those were thinking, well, maybe that's what the guests go to be quarantined, blah, 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 blah. It gets worse, okay? Because there's somebody who got himself kicked out of the whole bubble because of a situation like we talked about yesterday. And yes, that is Danielle House. Somebody tried to make a joke that Danielle House was the one that snuck her in because they were believing her TikTok first and foremost. They tried to make a joke that Danielle House was the one that brought her in the bubble, and normally you think, leave it at that, that makes sense. And there's no way in hell that this dude is stupid enough to come in here and respond to this and give this any kind of energy. Well, that's not the case, because if you look real closely, you'll see a little check mark with the name Daniel K. House Jr. dropping a cat emoji. Why did you respond? Why did you respond? This whole thing is absolutely crazy. And for him to just put the icing and the cherry on top, oh my God, my guy. Like, this whole thing is absolutely, I have no more words for this. Britt Johnson, talk to me on this. This is next level stupid. Do you really think that she thought she was going to get away with this? Or do you think she was just that dumb and we are just seeing next level cloud chasers for real, for real?
Sis, I don't have words for these people anymore. Like, I suggest that we bring back, this is not child beating. This is just a whooping, a good whooping on the line. Because people don't have no home training anymore. They just be out wilding in the streets and on social media. Like, they just don't know better about anything. And it's so frustrating to see, because it's like, you understand that now this is going to live with you forever. It's going to follow you forever. This is social media. You can't ever really delete anything. Now this is on this show. It's probably on other platforms too. And it's going to live on. Like, or when a guy's looking to be your future husband, he's going to look back and see this and be like, really? Who is she? Like,
oh, you crazy.
And this, like, yeah. I don't know. I'm like, I feel sorry for these little babies, because I feel like they don't know no better, but they just need to get whooped more. I don't know. Kids don't even get grounded nowadays. Like, oh, you can't ground your child anymore either. It's terrible.
Because they'll get mad and it'll, God forbid they get grounded. No, discipline. What the hell? No, Anaya. If you're watching, little girl, first of all, you shouldn't be watching. Second of all, you know you're getting disciplined, so don't even cut it out, little girl. But Devin, I want to come to you, because I'm not gonna let Danny Wellhouse slide. This dude, why is he coming out here with the Kevin Durant type of idiocracy when he wasn't? Well, I mean, he was at it. I'll give him that. He was at it. But should he have just left it alone? Should he have listened to us here on the Fumble and said less?
You guys know, I mean, as much as I think it's smart for these athletes to say less, I live for the moments when they don't, and I'm glad he just inserted himself into this whole thing. It's just an embarrassing mess, but I love this kind of thing.
Oh my God. It's just like, bro, like I can't with it. But yeah, Liz, we got another one. All right, we'll add it to the list. I'm sure she will not be the last one. But my goodness, but the fact that my favorite part is Devin is here for it. I love that. I'm gonna put Devin right there. She's getting her petty points just slowly going up and up every episode. It's crazy. Moving on of that one, we do have a
thing, Chris. I have a conspiracy. Please. I think that was his wife. No, I think that was his wife. Like, his wife probably has his phone now, and she's like, no, he ain't nowhere. That ain't the girl. And she's probably saying everything now from, like, her mouth, but it's on his phone. I think his wife
and responded to everybody. Yeah. Okay. I like that conspiracy. I'm gonna keep that one.
No more drama. I mean, the other one wasn't a rumor. She don't want no more drama. She don't want no more situations. Nobody laughing at her anymore. So she's like, no, this one
She
was
took
not
all
true.
the phones. Took the phones, the iPads, the computers. Like you talk about grounding. Yeah, he got.
I took his phone, and now she's the one responding. This is what your mamas need to do. Take your phone and respond to any little bad boys that be trying to message you, trying to get you to do stuff that you shouldn't be doing. This is how you do it.
This grown man is getting grounded before this little TikTok girl. Where are we right now? My goodness. Where are we? I'm going to tell you where we are. We are at a place where we have people that are so against wearing a mask that they're going to let this elevate to the level, things elevate to the way that this next one did. I want to hear your guys' opinion on this, but basically what happened was we have a mama that went to show up to a middle school football game recently, and she, as you would expect, just like anywhere, there's they need to be wearing masks. They're in a small little group, therefore she should have a mask on. Her mom has a mask on, but she refused to wear a mask to the point where a cop came over to ask her, ma'am, can you please put a mask on or you can exit the premises? And as you'd expect, she fought it to the end, to the point where she was on the floor and the officer was trying to cuff her, and things escalated to, well, the point where she got tased. And this is where the video comes in right here. If we could put the video up. Video.
Tase somebody over a mask. Tasing this lady over not wearing a damn mask.
Can we pause it? There's so much going on. That's what I'm saying. There's so much going on. We had, I don't know if you can hear, we still had dads over there like, yeah, go ahead, son. Like he was over there like excited about he can give a damn about what's happening over at Karen getting tased and what's not. His boy just scored a touchdown. That's what he cares about. Cheerleaders doing their thing. And we got this going on. So she got tased. You hear the audience is appalled and, oh my God, I cannot believe it, just for a mask, blah, blah, blah. She got tased. The cop then proceeds to walk her off and leaves. I also want to preface the fact that the cop himself was not wearing a mask, so not a good look, my guy. But who's wrong in this situation? Was it too far with the tasing? Was the cop, and who's wrong in this situation? Jackie, we haven't heard from you a little bit. I'm curious to hear who you putting this one on.
I care not who about this situation at all. What I was appalled at is the people in the background going, "Oh my God, he tased her over a mask." We have literally people getting shot in their sleep, and they don't show the same level of being. I taser again. Yeah, I mean, if it's going to get the kind of reaction that we need to get out, taser again, and let that sink in. She's getting tased over a mask, and people are getting killed over traffic stops. But you don't have the same level of let me get outraged about that. Y'all can go play on the damn highway. Tase her again until they get it. I don't care.
They were absolutely appalled. All the reactions, they could not believe what they were seeing. It was absolutely Go ahead, Britt. Sorry.
I did this story, so it'll air later today, like the full situation of what happened and stuff. But it's like, I mean, he was trying to get her for like minutes and minutes. Like this video continues to go on, and she's like, you ain't about to do anything. She had already been told several times, like the school athletic director was like, people are told at ticketing they can't come in without a mask, all this kind of stuff. And so the whole school board was like for her getting arrested and tased, because they were like, listen, the only other option here is no fans in the stands. Y'all argued about wanting to be able to watch your little 8th grader son and daughter cheer and do the football game. And we said, if you guys do that, we have an Ohio State mandate that says y'all got to wear a mask if you go to the game. So the school superintendent was like, listen, the whole point of this is to make sure you guys get to watch your kids play and your kids have a safe environment to play in and continue their sport. So if you don't want to do that, then don't go to the game. So like, it's interesting that the whole school, like superintendent board, everybody was like, yeah, we told him to come get you and arrest you because we told you already multiple times. So, and it's funny because in the video, people are like, is he even a real police officer? There was just so much stupidness going on. And so, I mean, he does have police on the back of his shirt, and there's a police car right there. And this lady was like, that doesn't mean anything. Like,
that doesn't never mean anything. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. This whole thing, absolutely absurd. Yeah.
I can't wait for
The-
people to stop acting like they're being personally victimized by a mask. Like that's the day that I'm just going to be so happy. Like, stop. It's not hurting you. Chill out. Oh my God, these people, they drive me nuts.
All the time. Absolutely insane. But we ended there here with the post up with that crazy Karen.
Segue into what we're not going to do. Because what we're not going to do is act like a fool when you don't have your mask on when you're supposed to. But Jackie, tell us what we're really
Devin.
not going to do, please.
Tell him, Devin. I love that. All right. So Devin actually mentioned this tweet earlier in the show. I've always talked about Colin Kaepernick not making it clear whether he wants to actually play football or not, but he's made it very clear that he definitely still wants to continue to use his voice with regards to social injustice. He posted this tweet again that says, "The white supremacist institution of police that stole Breonna Taylor's life from us must be abolished for the safety and well-being of our people. Hashtag Breonna Taylor, hashtag say her name, hashtag abolish the police." So for me, I see no lies here. But once again, I went to the comments. I didn't follow my own advice, and I went to the comments. And I think that's why my attitude is a little off today, because I literally spent an hour scrolling through these comments, and I could not find one single solitary comment from someone who doesn't look like me, someone who was white, who didn't have something completely racist or negative to say about it. I'm just going to show you two. This user said, "It's not the police who needs to change, it's you. Here's an unpopular idea. You want change? You want police to change? You want America to change? How about you change? No drugs, no riding dirty, no thug crap, no gangster crap. Stop stealing, act right." There's a lot to unpack here, because white people can do all of that and still be taken into custody safely, including go into a church and murder a whole bunch of black people and be taken to Burger King so he can await due process. So this thought process is appalling to me. There was countless other people who replied to that specific statement that echoed it. There were other people on Cap's comment, including these two morons. This one says, "What a novel idea. Act normal and respectful instead of being a mindless, ignorant, wannabe gangster thug, and you'll never get shot. Why is this concept so goddamn hard to understand? Or is that racist too?" Yes, fun fact, it is. Why should you let people act like animals? And then, of course, here's Norma, aka Karen Knight, who says, "Damn straight. They will never learn. They will never change. Yet they want to have all police departments abolished. But oh yes, I understand now. If they could get all police departments abolished, then they could rape, steal, and murder to their heart's delight." I didn't see one person that who wasn't, obviously black people had something to say. Obviously black people were commenting back, but I did not see anybody who didn't look. It was just infuriating. Of course, Cap's comment is 100% correct. If you don't know that, it's because you're choosing not to see that. It's not because the facts aren't there. And in addition to the majority of white people co-signing on this behavior, I went on to Sergeant John Mattingly. There's a news story about him and his comments. I don't know if you guys know, he wrote a long email to his fellow officers that are going to go out now and, by his words, be disrespected by protesters, but he didn't call them protesters. He called them thugs. And he wrote like a long email to encourage his officers to stand up for their own personal civil rights and not let people get them in their face, and do what they need to do to continue to be respected. I'm just going to quote a specific part that he put in the email in regards to him and his fellow officers shooting into the home of Breonna Taylor. He said, quote, "I know we did the legal, moral, and ethical thing that night. It's sad how the good guys are demonized and criminals are canonized." He also said that when it comes to officers and what they did that night, it was a battle of good versus evil, which would imply that he thought that Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend in there were evil. Even if her ex-boyfriend had been in the home, that does not justify you shooting into a home blindlessly. And again, there were comments on that. So what we're not going to do is be shocked that the majority is co-signing on this. What we're not going to do is pretend that this social movement that we've seen has impacted it. I had said from day one that I thought that the racist majority seeing basketball players stand up like this, I thought it was going to make them dig down deeper into their racism. And I think we are seeing that. And I'm sad because I know next week we're going to see something the exact same. And I find it troubling that our foundation, the foundation of this country, was built on white supremacy and violence and genocide and terrorism. And nothing has changed. Nothing has changed from trying to commit genocide on the natives and saying that was all for progress, which translates to white supremacy. It's nothing different than calling, newly freed slaves savages, which is by today's standard would be the thug word that y'all want to throw around so much. It's no different than putting Japanese people in concentration camps. And because now we have, immigrants that are trying to seek refuges in cages today. We haven't really changed as a society, and violence has been the language that this country was founded on for so long, but yet all we do is expect things to change when we respond peacefully. That is not the language of this country. So I don't know how long we can just continue to march and be 100% peaceful when we have seen that does not work. If there was any time, even if you were just doing it for political clout, now is the time that you force change. And everyone says, well, look how Martin Luther King did it. People forget that the Civil Rights Act was actually in place before Martin Luther King was assassinated, but it didn't get any traction until there was over a week long of violence. And then all of a sudden it had this political mutation, and now they wanted to get things done. It was a culmination of those two things. You needed literally both. But we'll go out and we'll continue to protest. And I'm just so sad for these athletes that are out there trying to use their platforms, and they really think that they're going to get change. And there's no evidence of that. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here, but we've been marching forever. And I am not entirely, that's not going to work. I have an idea what the plan should be, but I'm not going to say it on this platform. If you want to know, you have to go to mine. But it's definitely not continuing to march and cry and pray. That is not going to get it. I don't really have any questions on this. But what we not going to do is keep pretending that the definition of insanity is not doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It's time to do something different. That's all I got to say about that. And now it's time for Britt's takes.
Britt's takes.
All right, so we're kind of going to continue the energy that Jackie was kind of talking about, because obviously we know yesterday we heard the news of the Breonna Taylor case. We've been talking about it throughout the show. A big sentiment that we get in sports, being either an athlete or a commentator. There was somebody in the comments yesterday when I was saying something, and they said, Britt, just shut up and talk about sports. And we hear this shut up and dribble thing all the time with it when it comes to athletes or whatever the case is. And I think the problem, or the reason why they're saying that, is because they're hearing them, like they follow these people, they follow these athletes, and they don't want to hear that kind of stuff. We talked about the social dilemma a little bit yesterday. I don't know if I know I'm kind of like low-key plugging them. They should actually pay me for this, but they're not. But I just think it's very interesting because we do usually only follow people that have the same views as us and same thought process or whatever it is. And I know a lot of people have unfollowed people during this time because it's like, oh, wow, I didn't realize my aunt was racist. And I remember I told you guys the story of half of my family really is pretty racist. My own grandfather, I met once in my life because he was racist. I'm half black, half white, if you guys didn't know, but he was racist, and he disowned my mom when my mom was dating. He disowned my grandma and everybody because they lived next door to black people, and my grandma had befriended the mom of that house, and so all the kids started hanging out there. And my grandpa came back after like a trucking trip because he would be gone all the time, and he was like, what's going on here? What are all these black kids running around here? And he left my grandma, and so my grandma had to be a single mom basically and raise the kids just because she had a black friend that was her next door neighbor. So yes, I understand that people have been racist from the beginning. My own family is racist. And I understand that people are undercover racist for a while, and you don't know that they're racist. And then when you hear certain stuff or certain things happen, at this time, there were a lot of people that unfollowed people. I personally started April with 80,000 followers on my Instagram, and now I have 73,000 because people unfollowed me because I was posting about social justice stuff and whatever. I kind of wanted to talk about this today because I have a friend who I'm not going to say his name, but I'm pretty sure sure I'll follow him if you guys do sports stuff and do YouTube stuff, because he has over 2 million followers on YouTube, and close to that on Instagram as well. And he does tons of sports videos. But yesterday he never posts anything about voting or Black Lives Matter or any of these deaths and anything. He never posts anything that has anything to do with real life. He just only posts stuff that are kind of like irrelevant, especially in times like this. He's never posted anything about COVID, nothing. So I kind of wanted to challenge him to your platform for good. You have all these followers, kids that would literally do anything for you, like use your platform for something positive for once. So he had posted something like stupid, like, oh, does anybody know what song this is? And I commented back and I was like, it's called Breonna Taylor Didn't Get Justice or whatever. And I did this whole thing. And he was just like, oh, is that on iTunes? LOL. And just making a joke of it. And so then I went in on him and I was just like, listen, you have a platform like where you can literally, like, you have so many people listening to you. Like, it is your responsibility to make a difference and to like at least say something. Like, in number one, hello, you're a Black guy. Like, I don't know if you like don't know that, or you think you're like it's a OJ situation with you. Like, oh, I'm not Black, I'm OJ kind of thing. I don't know, but like he just doesn't. I feel like he doesn't ever care about anything. So when you see these athletes and stuff with social media and posting stuff, and then you see the comments that Jackie's talking about, and she's done it in the past before where she's mentioned like Donovan Mitchell saying something, and then you hear and see all these racist comments underneath. They're still following those people. I posted something the other day and literally I got a bunch of comments that were like Trump 2020. Like, that's all I got on my comment section. And I've been posting about, I'm definitely not voting for Trump, and I definitely am for Black Lives Matter, and I've definitely protested, but yet these people still continue to follow. So my question kind of, in my wondering in this moment, is we still forget the social dilemma stuff, because there are people like myself who apparently have a lot of Trump supporters that follow me, and all of these athletes have so many Trump supporters or people that like are thinking these negative things that follow them. How do we change how we communicate so they can understand more? Because there are going to be times where people just don't, it's this way or the other way, and people don't see this middle ground here. People don't, and really, I mean, technically there's not a middle ground when it comes to racial justice and social justice. It's literally just equality. But then it's like, okay, just the psychology side of like thinking, like, how do we find ways to better communicate stuff to people that literally just believe what they believe? Because you're still following me. So like, there's a reason why you're still following, because literally all I post mostly is stuff about that. So if it's to bash me or to whatever, yeah, fine, but you're still following me. So in what way can I use my platform to continue to not speak necessarily my truth or my like feelings on things? Because I think that's what we use social media a lot for, is to just express ourselves, but to now bring people to like understand more. Yes, this is something that's very difficult to do, because you would think, hello, you guys see it. We're just showing you the video. You should be able to understand it by just looking at the video. But people don't. And I don't know if there's a way to bring people to that moment, because there are people that we know have been racist. There were people that we talked about. I remember the situation with like Obama and Biden, like to the funeral of that guy that used to be one. Well, people also don't forget that he stopped being in the KKK a long time ago and has since reformed his life and done all this, that, and the third. I've seen people that have been in prison that literally transform their life and reform when they get out of prison and become different. So I do believe it's possible, but like, how do we use social media to positively make those changes in that situation? Because you do still have an audience that these people are still watching. Yes, these are negative comments we're getting and negative whatever, but they're still looking at it. They're still clicking on it, like, and they're doing it for some type of reason. Yes, it is negative, but in that moment, can we change even one of those people to like, hello, here's a little taste of empathy. Maybe you should try it. Like, and I don't know how we do it. So I kind of wanted to just go across the panel here and say, in what, especially just directed towards athletes, in what ways do you see athletes continuing to use social media possibly to continue to fight for injustices? Like, do you think that there's a way that we can come, athletes even continue to post, or do you think it's like there's no reason for us to continue to post anymore? I'll start with you, Devin.
I think that it's important that people keep posting, particularly people who are in the spotlight, even though there are going to be the people that respond back and have something negative to say, or they say the Trump 2020 BS that we've all gotten on our social medias.
Yeah.
I think that the message reaches further than that. And I think that the triggered people are going to respond back, but the people who actually are reading it and absorbing it are being enlightened. And I know I've learned so much by reading social media posts from other people. So to me, I think it's really valuable, and I'd like to see it continue to happen. It's kind of like a passive form of activism, but I think the effect is still impactful. Of course, I'd like to see athletes, if they're able to, get out to the protests, make some donations, get on the ground doing what they can. And we've seen some of them do that. Obviously, the guys in the bubble are not able to do that. But, there are other ways to get involved. I think posting on social media is just one of them. And it needs to be kind of like the bottom level. And we all need to be doing more on top of that.
Chris?
I'm normally a very positive guy, but I think this is one of the points where I'm normally pretty negative on, because I firmly, strongly believe, especially with as long as I've been doing, anything on social media, I strongly believe that you cannot change or fix ignorance, and people are going to have their opinion. They're going to seek any kind of opportunity to let their ignorance be heard. But in that same breath, I completely agree with Devin that that does not mean you stop sharing what is important and what you believe needs to be put out, because there are people that, as we talked about yesterday, and as you were advertising for Social Dilemma, not everybody is seeing the information that you may be seeing. So you're sharing this for somebody that will care, or somebody that needs to be in line or want to learn about it for the first time. So for that reason, you continue to share it, you continue to put it out there. But as far as trying to mend or changing people, look, let me put it back to the sports term. I'm a Knicks fan. Not none of y'all can put no championship in front of me to get me to leave being a Knicks fan. You can't change or teach ignorance. And I feel like that's the unfortunate side with that when it comes to the problems that we're going through right now.
Jackie, to their point, and you just seem to agree with it as well. Obviously the fact that like the people that are super racist, you can't really change, but then the people like Devin saying that she learned so much during this time, the people that aren't racist but maybe don't know and don't feel, do you think it's still worth posting and doing stuff like that to even if it's just for those people that like are already like they're not racist, but maybe they weren't necessarily like anti-racist before?
No. The short answer is no. I think that unfortunately, and like I said, the definition of insanity is doing things the same way over and over again and expecting a different result. And while I love people like Devin and who can be enlightened by seeing something that we post, her enlightenment is not our responsibility. At this point, our responsibility as a society, as a Black community, is to us, because clearly this is common sense. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, yes, it's great that people who don't look like me are learning, but if you haven't learned up until this point in your life, it's because you don't want to. It's because you haven't taken time to seek out that information. That information is very much there. There's information that I didn't know about. Somebody on a tweet that I posted the other day said that this month was Suicide Prevention Month. I didn't know that. So to your point, that could be the way that social media helps. But at the same time, I've done a little bit of research on suicide because unfortunately I've had people close to me do it. So I took the opportunity to learn more on my end because I wanted to. It didn't take that post for me to do that. It took a desire for me to want to know about that. So I don't think that social media is going to help in that way. And so I think that, and I've said this before, that's not my fight. To enlighten people that have not been enlightened yet is not my fight. But to your point, I because it's not going to work. Yeah. We've seen it doesn't work. You know what I mean?
With the athletes, though, do you think it's good to see the athletes continue to still post,
No.
or do you think they shouldn't post anymore?
No, because all they are viewed as millionaire crybabies. That's it. That's all people call them. People say, "Oh, the social injustice that you're posting about doesn't even affect you because you're millionaires." But we've seen this happen to athletes. Regardless of the fact that this does happen to athletes, we've seen it happen to athletes. People say, "Oh, my income is here, your income is there." Right. Right. That's what I'm saying. So like Chris said, people see what they want to see. If at this point, if you, and we've talked about it even with health, we literally all have said that we personally know people where a doctor has said, if you don't change this behavior, you will die. And they keep doing that behavior because they don't care. So if they don't care to take care of themselves, they're not going to care to change their minds about people that don't even affect them that way. So I think the conversation needs to be more specific to our community and what we as a community can do to uplift our brother next to us. Does that mean we need to start buying blocks? Where I'm totally for that. Let's buy the block and let's make sure we're safe and think. But it literally, I think the narrative has to switch, and we need to kind of empower ourselves to protect ourselves, is what I think.
All right. Well, that is it for Britt's Take. Thank you guys all for your input on that. I definitely have been sitting in a place of like, oh, I don't know what to do. I feel lost sometimes. And, it's good to kind of like talk to other people and see everyone else's ideas as well. So that's it for Britt's Take today. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Britt. That was such a powerful conversation, and I think that we've all felt like that at some point over the last few months, not really knowing how to move forward. What else can I do? There is this feeling of hopelessness right now, but I think this is a really important conversation to have. You guys, on that note, make sure you are all subscribed to the Fumble. Tap the bell for notifications so you know right when we're going live. Wash your hands, wear a mask so you don't get tased for just being an idiot, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!
Or get tased so Karen can be appalled, and we can talk about that.